This week on the Downsized, the patent fight over Wegovy heats up. Novo just lost round one, and a cheaper generic could be coming. They're also battling Lilly for market share, making bold insurance moves that left patients forced to switch meds. Plus, a major push to crack down on counterfeit and illegal GLP-1s, new research on dementia and asthma, and India's big play to bring generics to 87 countries. The future of access is shifting, and we're breaking it all down.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Downsized News. It's Monday, July 28th, 2025, and I'm so glad you're here. Today we're diving into the latest on GLP-1s. I'm Laraine Durham, and I've lost over 50 pounds with Zepbound. This journey changed my life, and I'm here to help you feel informed, empowered, and supported every step of the way. So if you're ready for some real talk, updates that matter, and a little motivation along the way, stick around for updates you may not see anywhere else.
I'm Christopher Durham. I've lost 100 pounds on this adventure using GLP-1s. We're talking real experience, not theory. We're not here to hype or sell you anything. We're here to give you the real story about the medications changing lives, the system making it harder than it needs to be, and the science that's pushing it forward.
If you're new to our channel, welcome. If you've been with us for a while, welcome back. We always like to mention that we're not doctors, but we have lost weight with the help of GLP-1 medications. We will always share with you what has helped us, what we're still figuring out, and what's happening across the GLP-1 landscape. We publish videos on GLP-1 topics every day, so go ahead and like and subscribe so that you don't miss out on any episode.
From Mounjaro and Zepbound to Wegovy and Ozempic, Semaglutide and Tirzepatide, and everything coming next. We're covering it all: new research, policy updates, new meds in the pipeline. Let's get into what matters for those of us using GLP-1s to treat the disease of obesity.
Here's your first story.
Novo Nordisk just lost a key legal battle in its fight to keep generic Wegovy off the U.S. market. A federal district court judge in Delaware ruled that Viatris, through its subsidiary Mylan, did not infringe on one of Novo's patents for the blockbuster GLP-1 medication Wegovy or Semaglutide. That decision knocks out the first of 5 patents that Viatris is challenging as it tries to bring a cheaper version of Semaglutide to market. The court focused on what's known as the 003 patent. That patent covers the use of Semaglutide to treat obesity without combining it with another therapeutic agent like insulin or a diabetes drug. Novo argued that Mylan's generic label would indirectly encourage doctors to do just that, prescribe Semaglutide on its own in violation of the patent. But the judge disagreed. The proposed label for Viatris's product actually does include language about co-administering it with other medications. It says not to use it with other GLP-1s or Semaglutide products, but it doesn't rule out combining it with different kinds of drugs. And because the label does not encourage, promote, or recommend using it alone, the judge ruled there was no infringement. In plain terms, Mylan's label doesn't tell doctors to do what Novo's patent protects, so no patent violation. This is a major win for Viatris and major step towards possible generic Wegovy in the United States. But the road isn't clear yet. There are still 4 more Wegovy patents listed in the FDA's Orange Book that Viatris is trying to challenge. So far, only one has fallen. A Viatris spokesperson said they were pleased with the district court's favorable decision and confirmed that the ruling removes the 003 patent from the trial originally scheduled for March 2026. Novo Nordisk declined to comment while the broader case is still ongoing. Wegovy sales hit $8.4 billion globally in 2024, according to global data, and are projected to reach more than $21 billion in 2030. The stakes are enormous for Novo, for Viatris, and for patients waiting for more affordable access. So when could generic actually launch? In a best-case scenario, if Viatris wins or settles the remaining patent claims and gets FDA approval, generic Semaglutide could hit the market as early as late 2025, but that's incredibly optimistic. A more likely timeline puts launch around 2026 or 2027, depending on how long litigation drags on and whether a settlement is reached. Worst case, if Novo wins on the rest of the patents, generic access might be delayed until 2032 or beyond. This week's ruling is important, but it's just the first round. Novo has shown it's willing to fight hard to protect its exclusivity, its patents. Remember, this same pair settled a separate Ozempic patent case just 10 months ago, and Novo continues to sue medical spas, compounding pharmacies, and telehealth providers selling semaglutide products it considers illegal. For now, this ruling is a signal that the wall of patents around Wegovy might not be impenetrable, and that's good news for patients hoping for lower cost options. We'll keep following every twist as the fight for access continues. Just keep chipping away,
Chipping away.
chipping away. You know, it's one of those things. We firmly believe that Lilly and Novo both should be allowed to make money off of their patents. But as they've basically, just made obscene amounts of cash, you have to step back and say, where does the profit end and the patient begin? And how do we balance the good of the American citizen, the good of the global citizen? Story number 2, Laraine.
Novo Nordisk is pulling out all the stops to take back market share from Eli Lilly's Zepbound. After months of losing ground, new prescription data shows signs that Wegovy may finally be regaining momentum. But the tactics behind the shift are raising eyebrows, especially among patients who feel caught in the middle. According to IQVIA data shared with Reuters, new Wegovy prescriptions rose 33% in the weeks following the FDA's May 22nd decision to remove the drug from its official shortage list. That change closed the door on large-scale compounding by 503B outsourcing facilities, which have been producing cheaper versions of semaglutide during earlier supply gaps. With that compounding channel shut down, Wegovy hit 181,200 new prescriptions in the week ending July 18th, closing the gap with Zepbound. Just 2 months ago, Zepbound led Wegovy by nearly 175,000 prescriptions. Now the lead is closer to 134,000. Novo has been aggressively working to bring patients back, and its partnership with CVS may have been the biggest move yet. In a controversial and widely criticized deal, CVS shifted its preferred formulary coverage away from Zepbound and over to Wegovy. That means for many patients using CVS Caremark managed plans, Zepbound was suddenly dropped, leaving Wegovy as the only covered GLP-1 for obesity treatment. It's a strategy that might be helping Novo win numbers, but for patients, it's complicated and not very fair. Some users who were stable and doing well on Zepbound were forced to switch medications, not for medical reasons, but because of an insurance contract. It's a stark reminder that when drug companies fight for market share, patients can get caught in the crossfire. Novo has also leaned into direct discounts, starting with a $199 one-month Wegovy offer, followed by a $299 continuation offer. At the same time, it launched NovoCare, a direct-to-consumer platform that gives patients another access point, though it currently represents only a small share of total volume. Analysts caution that this recovery remains fragile. Novo's CEO made a surprise exit in May. The company has already lowered its full-year outlook, and firms like UBS and Berenberg expect further cuts when second quarter earnings are released on August 6th. On the other hand, analysts at Bank of America and Guggenheim believe that steady prescription growth may be helping to steady the ship. Behind the business drama is a very real question for patients. Will this make it easier to get affordable, effective treatment, or will it just mean more hoops for us to navigate? With 503B compounding off the table and branded prices still high, many people are finding themselves squeezed, either forced to switch meds, pay out of pocket, or figure out insurance red tape to stay on GLP-1 treatment. We believe the fight for access shouldn't come down to backroom pharmacy benefit deals or exclusive contracts. It should be about what your doctor says works best for your health and your life. We'll be keeping a close eye on Novo's August 6th earnings call and breaking it all down in plain, easy-to-understand language. Because your treatment isn't just a data point, it's part of your story, and your story matters.
So, I mean, they're struggling to regain their lead, right?
Yeah, it seems like Zepbound is beating them in number of prescriptions written, although they're catching up with their promotional $199 to start and $299 a month after that offer.
And their CVS Caremark deal.
And their CVS Caremark deal. So a lot of people get confused by that. They say, oh, can I no longer go to CVS and get Zepbound? No, they'll still carry it. But if you're part of the CVS Caremark Pharmacy Benefit Manager Group, you might be forced to be shifted from Zepbound to Wegovy.
Right. So
No matter what your doctor says, it's just a contract between the pharmacy benefit manager and Novo Nordisk, which seems like they shouldn't be able to do that.
So there's a lot going on with Novo coming up. Of course, at some point, we're going to hear who the new CEO is. Certainly a new strategy will come out of that. My money says there will be lower prices coming out of a new CEO. I think he's got to beat in sales.
I think that's the only lever he's got to push right now, other than prescribing it to more people. So, people without insurance can't afford $1,000 a month for Wegovy. $199 a month, maybe $299 a month. We'll see.
And we know there's plenty of profit built even at hundreds. We also see coming up that first week of August, so both Lilly and Novo will be reporting their results for the quarter.
I guess that's next week.
Yeah, should be an exciting time. Next story up, a bipartisan group of more than 100 members of Congress is urging the FDA to crack down on counterfeit and illegal GLP-1 medications flooding into the United States. In a strongly worded letter to Commissioner Marty Makary, they demanded immediate action to protect the public from dangerous, unapproved versions of semaglutide and tirzepatide. The lawmakers made clear they're not targeting legitimate compounders, however. In the letter, they drew a sharp line between lawful pharmacy practices and criminal activity. We understand the distinction between legitimate compounded drugs prepared in state-licensed pharmacies and counterfeit or compounded drugs made from illicit ingredients obtained from illegitimate sources. They also stressed the need to distinguish between three categories. Counterfeit drugs are fake versions of branded medications sold as if they were real Zepbound or Wegovy, but manufactured illegally. Think fake designer handbags or knockoff watches, except these are injected directly into your bloodstream. So basically, you might get a box and it looks like it's the real branded deal, and it's not.
But it's not.
We've reported on this before. The second piece of it was what we know as gray market drugs, and they're unlabeled or labeled not for human consumption and typically sold online without prescriptions. These substances are then often injected at home using kits bought from social media or reseller websites. As the letter warns, consumers are sometimes mixing and injecting these substances themselves, potentially using non-sterile equipment or improper techniques. The consequences, lawmakers wrote, could include infection, organ damage, or fatal overdose. Separately, the letter also highlighted that some shipments of illegal GLP-1s are being smuggled into the United States, disguised as dog food, facial masks, or t-shirts, clearly in an effort to evade detection by border officials and FDA oversight. The problem is growing. FDA and customs data shows 239 shipments of GLP-1 active ingredients from unregistered foreign entities, mostly from Chinese companies, that have never been inspected by the FDA and are not allowed to sell their unapproved AOMs for human use in China. The FBI also recently issued a public safety alert after seizing counterfeit semaglutide products that turned out to contain mixtures of unknown drugs with high levels of impurities and unsafe or unapproved drugs. In response, lawmakers are calling on the FDA to use every enforcement tool available: import alerts, seizures, civil actions, and a crackdown on non-compliant websites and rogue compounders. The legislators said the FDA should immediately work with Customs and Border to issue an import alert and step up enforcement at the border to prevent Chinese entities from undermining America's supply of safe medicines. And they've made their expectations clear. Given the urgency of this matter, we respectfully request a response and an update on the FDA's effort by July 30th, 2025, so just a few days. We have seen firsthand what happens when FDA-approved medications like Zepbound, Mounjaro, Wegovy, and Ozempic are priced out of reach. Dangerous gray market and counterfeit products have stepped in, and patients may be risking their health. I cannot stress enough how much you need to take care of yourself and be safe. Watch where you're buying your products from.
Right. So if someone's selling you on the internet, Mounjaro, Ozempic, Zepbound, Wegovy, beware. Beware. Make sure that they're not counterfeit products.
Getting it with a prescription from a pharmacist,
right.
not some random
not
person
some
on the internet.
random person on the internet. Gray market goods are another way people are taking these. They're getting them from unapproved or research grade, not for human consumption grade, and literally mixing them up in their bathroom. So, not a great idea. Not a great idea at all.
I get it. People are desperate. They want their medications, and there's plenty of blame to go around for this. The high prices, the manufacturer shortages. I mean, there's a lot of things going on. If they were all concerned legitimately about safety, this would be a consideration when they look at pricing and distribution. But today, it's a hot mess and it needs to be fixed.
I mean, if they just lowered their prices,
it would help for sure.
That would really make a big difference. And story number 4, a new story in BMJ Open Diabetes Research and Care finds that GLP-1 medications may be more effective than metformin at reducing the risk of dementia in people with type 2 diabetes. The researchers looked at over 174,000 adults who started either a GLP-1 or metformin as their first diabetes treatment. The data came from a large U.S. health database called TriNetX, covering 2004 to 2024. They found that people who took a GLP-1 had a lower risk of developing dementia, especially Alzheimer's and other non-vascular types. GLP-1 users also had a lower risk of death from any cause compared to those on metformin. To make the comparison fair, the two groups were matched by age, sex, and other health factors. Everyone had at least 2 years of follow-up, and the researchers waited 6 months after people started their medication before counting dementia cases to rule out those who may have already been showing early signs. Here's what they found. GLP-1s lowered the risk of overall dementia by 10%, Alzheimer's by 12%, and non-vascular dementias by 25%. Death from any cause was also 11% lower in the GLP-1 group. The benefits were consistent across men and women and strongest in people over 60. This is one of the first real-world studies to compare these two treatments head-to-head for dementia risk. The authors say the findings could help guide doctors and policymakers when treating older adults with type 2 diabetes. They also call for more clinical trials to confirm the results. The full study is titled Evaluating GLP-1 Receptor Agonists versus Metformin as a First-Line Therapy for Reducing Dementia Risk in Type 2 Diabetes. It's quite a headline, and was published in July 2025. So this studies look backwards.
Yep.
They see the big data pool and they pull out people who took metformin for type 2 diabetes, people who took a GLP-1 for type 2 diabetes, and how those two groups varied.
But in this case, they've got a bunch of other factors. So they're looking at sex and age,
right,
and
and
so
match them up by all that.
They're matching them pretty closely.
Yeah, I mean, so it sounds like there's some hope there when it comes to GLP-1s lowering your dementia risk, lowering your Alzheimer's risk, but of course, more studies.
And all cause deaths were down 11%. So if you were just taking a GLP-1,
you're less likely to get hit by a car if you're on GLP-1s. All deaths, it's very broad, but 11%, it's not just a statistical variance. That's kind of valid.
Yep. Story number 5, a new study looked at 59,293 public Facebook posts to see what people are really saying about side effects from GLP-1s. We see those every day, right? It was published in the JMIR Infodemiology in July 2025. The data came from US users posting between 2022 and 2024. Researchers focused on posts that mentioned Zepbound, Mounjaro, Wegovy, and Ozempic, and other GLP-1s approved for weight loss or type 2 diabetes. They found that nausea and vomiting were the most common side effects mentioned overall. For example, vomiting was mentioned in 3.8% of posts about Mounjaro. Headache and joint pain were also common with tirzepatide. Joint pain came up in 1.69% of tirzepatide posts, more than twice as often as with semaglutide. Wegovy posts had the highest rate of depression mentions at 1.57%. Mentions of anxiety and depression were under 1% overall, but still showed up consistently across all brands. Zepbound was linked to more hypertension mentions at 0.73%. Ozempic had the most mentions of gallbladder issues at 0.33%. The study also showed that side effect mentions spiked after major events like Oprah's 2023 endorsement or the FDA's pediatric approval in 2022, in the Medicare coverage expansion in 2024. Basically, there were a lot more people talking about it. But even as more people posted about these medications, the percentage of posts focused on side effects actually went down. Researchers found that some symptoms often appeared together. They grouped these into clusters. One cluster included fatigue, anxiety, depression, allergies, and hypertension. Another included headache, dizziness, hypoglycemia, and dehydration. The third was mostly gastrointestinal issues like nausea, vomiting, and pancreatitis. This kind of real-world research does not replace clinical trials, but it shows what patients are actually dealing with every day.
Wonder if they looked at my Facebook posts.
I think they looked at everybody's Facebook posts.
Is that how they get all those posts?
Well, because it's all mineable. I mean, they can't see that it's you specifically, but they can see all of the data. They don't know it's. I mean, I think it's interesting. Honestly, the numbers seem kind of low to me. So I guess it's
0.33%. I mean, out of 574,000,
Yeah.
like what's 0.1% would be 5,000?
Something like that.
So 0.33, like a third of that. So like 2,000 out of 500. It seems very small.
Well, it's a huge number of people to go after, but I'm surprised given you pop into any Facebook group and there's somebody complaining about constipation constantly.
Nausea, constipation are the big ones we hear.
So I guess what happens is because they're looking at all mentions, Mounjaro, Zepbound, Ozempic, Wegovy, whatever, there's a lot more people saying, hey, I just got on it. Hey, this is cool. Hey, this is great. Than there actually are people complaining about a side effect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And story number 6, there's growing evidence that GLP-1s may do more than help with blood sugar and weight. A new study out of the UK suggests they might also improve asthma control, especially in people with obesity. The research comes from the University of Aberdeen and the Observational and Pragmatic Research Institute and was just published in Advances in Therapy. The team looked at data from about 60,000 adults with obesity, including over 10,000 adults who were taking a GLP-1 and had asthma. They matched each of those patients with 5 others who weren't on a GLP-1 but had similar health histories. Everyone in the study had a BMI over 30 and had recently seen a doctor for asthma. After tracking these patients for 3 years, they found that those on a GLP-1 had significantly better asthma control. That includes improvements in both baseline risk and overall asthma scores. And here's the key. These patients actually started out with worse asthma symptoms and higher BMI than the control group, but still saw better outcomes. Now, lung function scores didn't change much, but the researchers say that's likely because a lot of that data was missing due to the pandemic. So what's going on here? GLP-1s are known to reduce inflammation, and inflammation is a major factor in asthma. That led the researchers to explore whether these drugs could help in ways that go beyond just weight loss. Dr. Jimmy Johannes, a pulmonologist at Memorial Care Long Beach Medical Center, said this study, and we quote, raises the possibility that GLP-1 drugs may be helpful for the treatment of asthma, end quote, in part because we have GLP-1 receptors in the lungs. I did not know that. Did you know that?
No.
GLP-1 receptors in the lungs, but not everyone is convinced. Dr. Thomas Killini, a pulmonologist at Northwell's Staten Island University Hospital, pointed out that weight loss alone has long been associated with improved asthma control. In his words, this study did not comment on whether the GLP-1 medication had a direct effect on the physiology of asthma control. So the question remains, is it the GLP-1, the weight loss, or both? Either way, for patients living with obesity and asthma, this could be meaningful, especially since many of these patients don't respond well to traditional asthma treatments like steroids. More research is needed, but this adds to a growing body of evidence that GLP-1s may have broader benefits for inflammation and chronic disease. We'll keep watching.
I mean, this could be big news for asthma sufferers.
I interviewed a lady on the Downsized dish just today that said she had asthma and she had something with her breathing that was bothering her. She started Zepbound and it cleared up.
I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter whether it's the drug or the weight. It doesn't. As long as you live better,
matter.
I don't care.
Yeah. Well, it's like type 2 diabetes. Just that it's the weight that drives the A1C or the A1C that drives the weight. That doesn't matter. Probably not.
Story number 7, Dr. Reddy's Laboratories, one of India's largest pharmaceutical companies, is preparing to launch a lower-cost generic version of Semaglutide, the active ingredient in Wegovy and Ozempic, in 87 countries, starting in 2025. CEO Erez Israeli announced during the company's latest earnings press conference, outlining a global strategy that begins with launches in Canada, India, Brazil, Turkey, and other emerging markets where semaglutide's patents are expected to expire next year. In India, the key patent is expected to expire in March. The company has already filed regulatory applications in each of the countries it plans to enter. Israeli says the generic semaglutide could generate hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue for Dr. Reddy's. The US and European markets won't open as quickly. Dr. Reddy's expects to enter those between 2029 and 2033. Depending on the length of remaining patent protections. Meanwhile, Novo Nordisk has filed a lawsuit accusing Dr. Reddy's of patent infringement to delay or block early competition. Novo recently launched Wegovy in India, following Eli Lilly's launch of Mounjaro for diabetes and weight loss. Both drugs belong to the GLP-1 class, which works by helping control blood sugar, slow digestion, and reducing appetite, making people feel fuller for longer. With global demand soaring, Dr. Reddy's isn't alone in chasing the GLP-1 opportunity. India pharma heavyweights, including Cipla, Lupin, Biocon, and Sun Pharma, are also working to bring their own generic versions to market as patents begin to fall. Looking ahead, Dr. Reddy says it plans to launch 26 GLP-1 drugs over the next decade, signaling a major push into a market expected to exceed $150 billion annually in sales by the early 2030s. If successful, these generics could radically expand access to obesity treatment, especially in countries where the high cost of branded GLP-1s remains a major barrier. So, could be huge.
Mm-hmm.
Some of those ones from India would make their way here too. So
yeah, this is our cat Jojo.
Say hello, Jojo.
Say hello, Jojo. She missed us while we were at the conference last week.
All right, well, that wraps up this edition of the Downsized News. We hope today's update gave you something helpful for your own GLP-1 adventure.
And if you're looking for things that can help you with your GLP-1 journey, visit thedownsized.org. There you'll find links to our 2026 Downsized Cruise, our GLP-1 Amazon store, and our email list. We are Amazon affiliates. When you shop through our store, you're helping support our channel at no cost to you. And we thank you for your support.
If you haven't already, please take one moment, hit the like and subscribe button, like this video, and tap that notification bell so you never miss what's coming next. We break down the science so you don't have to, and we tell you the news that's happening right now. We hope you will join us and be a part of the Downsized community.
Okay, well, if you watched this far, comment on our video or just comment Jojo or put a cat emoji. I'm Laraine Durham.
And I'm Christopher Durham. We are the Downsized. We'll see you next time.
Jojo says bye.